What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 14, Episode 11. So, the night before, Marlo was hosting a dinner for all the girls. Kenya at first had declined her invitation to come to Blue Ridge, but on the night of the dinner, their first night there, here comes Kenya. She pops up out of nowhere. So she joins the dinner, but her and Marlo have words. Marlo tells Kenya, if you're going to stay with us at the cabin that I've rented, then you can come with us on our activities tomorrow. But if you're not going to stay with us, then you're not going to come to any of the activities. Kenya, in her mind, she's like, I'm going to do whatever the hell that I want to do. I'll not show up. I will not sleep with y'all at the cabin, but I will be there for the activities. And Marlo was like, oh no, that's not how it's going to go. Kenya was extremely disrespectful. And whatever feelings that she has towards Marlo, if you don't like her, if you feel like this woman has wronged you way too many times, then you really shouldn't have come on her vacation. Why are you going to go out of your way to show up to Marlo's getaway when you clearly don't like the woman at all? You can't stand her, but then you show up at her getaway. It just made no sense. So obviously Kenya wanted camera time because if she didn't come to the getaway, who was going to be filming her, right? So the next morning, all the ladies are waking up, making breakfast, and here comes Kenya because the night before, Kenya has slept in her own cabin. She did not sleep in the same cabin that Marlo had rented. And the rules were, if you don't sleep in the cabin, you can't you cannot participate in the activities. So the next morning, Kenya pops up. She goes around checking out all the rooms because she's nosy. She runs across Marlo, and Marlo saw her, and Marlo was actually going to give her a hug, and Kenya just breezed right past her and just threw her, oh, hi, over her shoulder and kept it moving. Marlo told Kenya that at some point she wanted to speak to her one-on-one. Kenya acted like she didn't hear. She was playing dumb. Then there's a scene where Kenya and Sonia are having a conversation, and Sonia is telling Kenya, you need to give Marlo a chance. She's going through a really rough time right now. And Kenya's response was, she doesn't deserve a chance from me. If she can treat her own nephews the way that she treated them, why would I expect anything different with how she would treat me? So her point was, even if I were to give her another chance, she's still going to treat me like dirt because you see what she's done to her own nephews, her own blood. She threw them out. So if she does that to her own blood, then what is she going to do to me? How is she going to treat me, an enemy of hers? So Kenya wasn't trying to have any kind of conversation with Marlo. So what I don't understand about Kenya is that she declined the invitation, but then she showed up anyway. Then she barges into Marlo's cabin, but then she refuses to talk to Marlo. Then she criticizes her parenting, saying that she shouldn't have kicked the boys out. Now, Kenya tells Sonia about her own background. She talks about how she was a displaced child as well. Her mother didn't want her, so she went to go live with her grandmother, and then it got too much for her grandmother, and so her grandmother was going to send her to another relative. And so when they put her on the van to take her to this other relative, Kenya ended up jumping out of the van and running away. So she understands that feeling of relatives not wanting, like, taking you in and then kicking you out, not really doing their best to, take care of you until you grow up. So she understands that feeling. And so she can somehow relate to possibly what the nephews may be feeling. So she doesn't see it for Marlo for a lot of reasons. And now you got to add that on top of it. Marlo did to her own nephews what has been done to Kenya by her own relatives. So this is the part that I really began to kind of dislike Sonia. I've never really seen it for Sonia. She really has not been my cup of tea. I totally admire her for being the Olympic gold medal winner that she is, the Olympic champion that she is. I give her much respect for that. I'm not taking that away from her at all. If I live to be 1,000 years old, I cannot accomplish 1/8 of the things that Sonia has accomplished. So I admire her professionally, but her on this show, her character on this show, I could do without. So when Sonia ran to, first of all, She could even run to Marlo and tell Marlo herself what Kenya had said. She has to drag Sheree with her. Like, why can't you be bold enough to go up there to Marlo's room by yourself and tell Marlo what Kenya said about her? But instead, you want to bring in a third party who wasn't privy to the conversation, who doesn't know what the hell is going on, but you're just going to drag her up there into Marlo's room for like emotional support. Like, you need emotional support to talk to Marlo. So she tells Marlo, well, I had a conversation with Kenya. And then she tries to like, Sonya tries to like make it, she's trying to like play us for being stupid by saying, oh, I only went up there to talk to Marlo because I want peace between Marlo and Kenya. No, you were being messy. You were gossiping. You were stirring the pot. You were being a bone collector. You were not being a peacemaker. So she tells Marlo, well, I just had a conversation with Kenya and she was talking about, she had a lot to say about how you treated your nephews. Now, what do you think that's going to do to Marlo? And how do you think that's gonna affect the relationship between Marlo and Kenya? I felt like Sonya should not have done that. She should not have gone up to Marlo's room to tell Marlo specifically something that is very sensitive to Marlo. Even though Kenya said those things, and I don't think Kenya was necessarily like being like really mean about it, because Kenya was talking from like, this has happened to me. I can kind of relate to her nephews because this has happened to me. So I don't really fault Kenya for saying what she said. I fault Sonya for going up there to tell Marlo. Kenya said that, you know, you're a bad aunt, or your parenting skills are not up to par because you kicked your nephews out. She had a lot to say. Now, how do you think that's going to bring peace? Because you should have just left that out. If you were really a peacemaker, Sonya, if you really wanted to bring peace between these two women, you should have just gone up there and say, look, Marlo, Kenya's here. She's here to stay. What can we do to help you make the best of this situation? Something to that effect. Don't even bring up the nephews. That's a very sensitive topic for Marlo. But anyways, so that really lit the fire for Marlo. After that, she was just seeing red. Every time she saw Kenya, all she saw was red, and she was out for blood. So now all the women, or most of the women, are in the kitchen having breakfast. They talk about She by Sheree. So Kenya says that she's found a connection, a person, or somebody who can help She by Sheree out, and this person is ready to meet with Sheree. And so Kenya tells Sheree, do you have all your notes for this meeting? You have all your notes with you? And Sheree was like, no. You know, when it comes to business, Kenya is all about business. When it comes to making money and when it comes to business, Kenya does not play around. We do remember what happened at that photo shoot for Sonya. Even though she was joking around when she said, you know, contact my agent because I don't do photo shoots for free. She was joking around. You knew that girl was really serious underneath it all. She was dead serious about getting paid for that photo shoot. But it was for charity, so she really couldn't go too hard. And she ended up doing the photo shoot anyway, but she was kind of like setting the precedent with Sonya. Hey, if you want me to do something for you, it needs to go by my agent, and we got to talk about contracts and prices. So Sheree was like, no, I don't have any notes. And you can just see like the look of frustration on Kenya's face, because she's like, I'm trying to do all of this for you and you're not even coming prepared. So then Candy tells Sheree, you have the biggest brand of this group that's not even a brand. Basically, you have a brand, everybody knows about it, it's huge, everybody knows about She by Sheree, but you have no product. So Candy goes on to say it doesn't make any sense that nobody can buy it. And y'all, I went to She by Sheree website. Unless I am technically or technologically illiterate, there was no button to click on buying anything. There was like no product there. It was just a website promoting, I guess, her ideas, promoting herself. I was trying to find something to click on to see if there was any products available for sale, and I couldn't. But then again, maybe I was, not clicking on the right thing, or I didn't know what I was doing. So Candy suggests that Sheree put out a little bit of product and then use the profit from that to start, investing in more product. And I don't understand why Sheree has not already thought of this. That's like business making 101. Even those of us who are not in business would think of that. Okay, let me try to sell something and see if I can make money, to kind of see how the public is going to respond, how the consumers are going to respond with this product. And if you end up turning a profit, then you can take that profit to sell more product. I'm thinking that's business 101. why hasn't she not thought of this already? Because she does have some products to sell, because we've seen her Tumblr. I think she has a Tumblr. She has an exercise mat. She's got all kinds of little doohickeys that she can put out there on her website to sell and see what the response is. And then if she makes a profit, she can sell more stuff. So then they talk about, so then Fatum arrives. Sheree's, one of Sheree's best friends, she arrives. And we know that Fatum and Drew do not see it for each other. So that's going to be interesting. So then Marlo asks Kenya once again, if they can go upstairs and have a conversation. Kenya's like, huh? What? Huh? And so Marlo's like, I want to have a conversation with you at some point. And Kenya wasn't trying to have any kind of conversation with Marlo. And Marlo was not coming at Kenya in a rude way, in a mean way. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't being disrespectful. All she said was, I want to have a conversation with you. So then Kenya starts like running away from Marlo. And then Marlo starts chasing her. And she's trying to have this conversation while she's chasing her from room to room. And you got the camera crew and the mic guy and, the production team, running around after them. It was like a freaking circus. Kenya refused to meet with her one on one, so Marlo was forced to talk to her in front of the other ladies. Now, I feel like if Kenya didn't want to talk to Marlo, Marlo should have just let it go. Don't force it upon someone who doesn't want to have anything to do with you, because then you start looking crazy. And Marlo was looking kind of crazy because Marlo had lost control of the situation with Kenya. Kenya was running the show when it came to whether or not this conversation was going to take place between Marlo and Kenya, because Marlo wanted it to be in a controlled environment up in her room, them one-on-one talking, but it ended up being all over the house, and it ended up being in the kitchen in front of everybody else. So Marlo had lost complete control. So Kenya is basically forcing Marlo to play by her rules instead of Kenya playing by Marlo's rules. So Marlo tells Kenya, I want you to keep my nephews out of your mouth and don't ever talk about my nephews again. Marlo insists that Kenya will not be coming with them, but Kenya is like, well, I'll show you if I'm coming or not. And she proceeds to go outside, and she gets inside one of the cars that's waiting for the ladies to take them gem mining. So then Sonia tries to talk to Kenya about, can you kind of like, she's trying to have a conversation with Kenya about trying to make things right with Marlo. And I'm thinking to myself, Sonia, you're looking crazy, because you are having a conversation now with Kenya, encouraging her to make peace with Marlo. But sweetheart, you started all of this. Yes, obviously, the main problem is Kenya for showing up at the cabin uninvited, unannounced, just to cause havoc. Obviously, that's obvious. But then, Sonia, you inject yourself into these two women's feud. You make it even worse by taking what Kenya told you about Marlo, and then you go run tell that to Marlo. So now you got both of these women more angry at each other than they were to begin with. But then here you are trying to encourage Kenya to make peace with Marlo. That makes no sense to me. If you wanted to start mess, stand by the mess that you're starting. Don't start mess and then run around. Oh my God, y'all need to get along. Oh my God, y'all got to talk about this. No, Sonia, no. You look crazy. You're flip-flopping all over the place. So then after that, Kenya tells Sonia, how dare you get on my case with how I'm treating Marlo? What does she say? She says, the way you got on Drew on how she was treating Sheree, that's how you need to get on Marlo on how she's treating me. And so she was like, what's the difference? Kenya was like, what's the difference? You got mad at Drew because she was wagging her finger in Sheree's face. So why don't you get mad at Marlo for how she's treating me? But I'm like, Kenya, what is she doing to you? This is her event. This is her vacation, her getaway, whatever you want to call it. You're the one that's disrupting the peace. You're the one that showed up uninvited. You're the one that's breaking all the rules, going against what the host wants. You're the one that's messing up everybody's good time. So what exactly do you need Sonia to get on Marlo about? I didn't understand. So then Marlo suggested everyone that wants to come to the gem mining, because they can all ride with her. She's like, you know what? Forget about this. If you want to come with me to the gem mining, come on, let's all get in the car together. Then here comes Drew. Here comes Drew talking about, well, I'm not going to ride with Fatum. I can't ride in the same car with Fatum. Why can't you? You're an adult. You can't ride an hour or however long it takes to get to the destination with like maybe two or three people sitting in between y'all. You can't even do that. That's how much you can't stand this woman, Drew. Like, Drew, you're making things worse. Why don't you shut up and just get in the damn car? So Drew and Fatum now are into it because Fatum, she hears this and she starts, reacting to Drew, and Drew is reacting to Fatum, and they're going back and forth, cussing each other out. And then Drew calls Fatum Sheree's lapdog. Then there's a scene when everybody goes on the trampoline because Candy and her friend Manetta, they're like, you know what? Nobody's going anywhere. This is a waste of our time. Let's go look at the lake or something. So they end up finding a trampoline, and then they get on the trampoline. It was Manetta. I don't know. It was some people were jumping on the trampoline, and I was thinking to myself, oh, then Kenya comes and she starts jumping on the trampoline. And I was like, okay, while Kenya is jumping on the trampoline, Marlo, this is your time to make your getaway. This is the time for you to make your getaway. But she didn't. So when Kenya got off the trampoline, Marlo got on the trampoline. So you got these women, these grown women jumping on the trampoline. After she got done jumping on the trampoline, Marlo felt a whole lot better. So then she was like, you know what? Jumping on the trampoline is what I needed. I'm not going to let her ruin my vacation. So, girl, if you want to come with us, let's go. It's okay if Kenya joins us. So they get to the gem mining. Drew says the gem mining is lame. She doesn't like it. She's not having a good time. Okay, girl, nobody asked you. Then Drew moves away from Fatum, and Fatum starts yelling at her. Are you running? Sit down. Fatum to me looked like she had been drinking. She denied it, but it seemed like she had been drinking because she was very erratic. She was extremely erratic. So after they do the gem mining, they all get back to the cabin, and Marlo is upstairs in her room with her makeup artist, and she's telling her makeup artist, look, I am not having a good time. This is not what I had envisioned for my trip. I'm having a horrible time. There's a lot of negative energy. I'm feeling worse now than I did when I first arrived, so I need to just call it quits. So she goes downstairs, she rallies all the women together, and they all sit down, including Kenya. And Fatum starts, Marlo starts talking about how she's not having a good time. Her vacation has been ruined. And then Fatum says, well, I'm so sorry, Marlo. If I contributed in any way to the way you're feeling and ruining your trip, I am really sorry. She apologizes. And we could have just kept it at that. But then no, Drew has to butt in, and she starts calling Fatum a lapdog for Sheree. She starts barking at Fatum. And then somehow or another, she takes out a dog bone and she throws her in the middle of the floor and tells Fatum to suck on it. And I'm just like, Drew, what is wrong with you? Is this like you craving attention in this setting because your husband doesn't give you any attention at all at home? He doesn't give you the time of day. So when you're around these women and when you're around the cameras, you're just cutting up. You're just acting a damn fool. Drew, you look horrible. Like, what are you doing? Is that your goal, is to be silly and crazy and do things that make no sense and act erratic even though you're not even drunk and just make a fool out of yourself? Was that your goal for this season? Like, it's Sonya's goal to be the new bone carrier. It is your goal to be the class clown. We're having a very important moment, a very important discussion, and you're absolutely ruining it. So Marlo says, you know what? The trip is over. I've already ordered some cars to come and pick y'all up. Y'all are getting the hell out of my cabin. I don't want to see y'all anymore. I'm throwing everybody out. All of y'all just leave me the hell alone. I need some rest and relaxation away from all of y'all. So that's that. And Kenya was the first one she practically like flew down those stairs to get the hell out of there. Kenya, I'm really disappointed in you. And I know why you're doing it. You're doing it for the camera time. Because if you had not gone on the trip, we wouldn't have been seeing you. So you're doing it for camera time. You want the attention. You want to be on camera. We get it. I understand. I'm beginning to wonder if Marlo was more upset about, I think Marlo, the reason why she was feeling the way she was feeling and wanted to kick everybody out, I think it was because she was feeling some kind of way about her nephews. I don't think it was these women. Marlo is the kind of woman that she can mess with the best of them. She can go toe to toe with the best of them. And the fact that these women were acting up on her trip and Kenya and all of that, this is her element. You know, all the chaos, the drama, this is Marlo's element. But for her to kick everybody out and to cut the trip short, I think she was feeling some kind of way about her nephews. I don't know if she's feeling a lot of guilt. I don't know if she's just worried about them. Not really sure, but I think it had more to do with her nephews than these women. That is my review. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.